Rappers become the big battleground as we go into the final waning days of the election. According to the Daily Wire, there are 4 days left. So everybody's making their big final pitch as we move along. Hunter Biden's laptop story continues to go along, and the documents that Tucker was talking about 2 nights ago were found. UPS has an interesting explanation as to where they went. Riots continue in Philadelphia running up to the election, and here's what the media has to say about it. Yeah, that sounds familiar. It sounds about how they feel about Hunter's laptop as well. And the age old story of marijuana laced candy is out there once again. I've been being told I was going to get it for 31 years ever since I started in the public school system, and I have yet to see it. I'm Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary. Good morning, folks. Welcome to Contemporary. My name is Jay Edgar. We have got a bunch of stuff to get to here. As always, we're running up to the election. It's about time. If you haven't made your decision yet, I don't think anybody's going to get that last minute sway out of you. I mean, I can't really talk because they got that last minute sway out of my vote, and I decided to endorse the president. Kicking and screaming, of course. I think Steven's going to play that video, or at least a part of it, over on his show later on today. I don't know. It'll be a surprise if he does, but it'll be a nice surprise, and hopefully some of his fans will come over here and hang out with you guys for Contemporary as well. But speaking of Steven and Contemporary and everything else around that, before we get started, head on over to freedomscoop.com. Freedomscoop.com is going to be your one-stop shop for all of your news and commentary needs. We carry great shows such as the Daily Ignoramus, The Breakdown with Birkenhoff, The Generational Gap. We also carry the Freckles and Brit Show and the R-Rated Conservative. Come on over, pick up some of our swag, and help us support great creators. Looks like we do have some good new episodes up from the RRC as well. That was an interesting one, Hunter the Porn Star. I'll be going over and having a definite look at that one after this. I'm very interested in everything. And I mean, the R-Rated Conservative just got lambasted by somebody who apparently works for Entertainment Tonight. And I think I've heard the name of the dude that he got lambasted over. So nice, good half an hour rant over this guy. Well deserved from everything that I know about the situation. But of course, I would have to look into every facet before I said yes or no. Lambaste this guy or just let him go. But I trust the R-Rated Conservative. That's why he's on the network. But yeah, help us support great creators like that over there. Come and check all of our creators out as well. All right, looking at the stocks here. Coming in, we were up a half a percentage point yesterday, which we're all doom and gloom everywhere on the futures. The futures are down. 4 days in a row down. The futures are down. The futures are down again, by the way. But as IBD says every day, futures does not indicate what happens in the next regular stock market session. So the futures can go down and we can still see a day where we're a half a point up. So definitely good. Still not back to that 29,000 mark, but still hovering around the 26,000 mark. That makes you feel a little bit more comfortable than the 17 that we saw all the way back in the middle of March. Let's see what the investors have to say. Cobwebs in your portfolio. Get IBD Digital and print and scare up some profits. Get 2 months for $10, or 10.31 I should say. Not right now. Alright, Dow futures fall as Apple slides on China sales dive. Market rally still under pressure. This is from Ed Carson. Dow futures fell Monday morning along with S&P 500 futures and NASDAQ futures as Apple stock, Amazon, Facebook, and Google parent Alphabet and Twitter headlined a huge night for earnings. The stock market rally rebounded Thursday, recapturing some of Wednesday's sharp losses fueled by ServiceNow and Pinterest, along with a Netflix price hike. But the uptrend remains under pressure, with the Dow Jones futures suggesting Thursday's gains are at risk. With Thursday night's earnings tsunami, some uncertainty has lifted, but many growth leaders report next week. Also next week, there's a little thing called Election Day. Coronavirus fears and shutdowns have dragged down the stock market rally, but vaccine news could come in the next couple of weeks. Apple narrowly beat analyst forecasts with revenue unexpectedly edging higher because everybody's been stuck at home and nobody's been out working, so they can't buy the latest rounded edge piece of shit Crapple product, he said, knowing that he uses a Crapple product as a music player. Oops. At least I don't use it as my regular handset. But it makes a nice little music player, and it keeps all the podcasts that I have downloaded off of the memory of my main phone. I'll stand by it. But it's also an iPhone 5, so they stopped making profit off that damn thing a long time ago. The Dow Jones tech giant also didn't dive guidance for the holiday quarter. Apple stock fell nearly 4% before the open, with iPhone chip makers Qualcomm, Broadcom, and others also retreating. Google earnings soared 62%, crushing views, because people have been doing nothing but watching ads on YouTube and whatever else that they've been searching over on Google. In extended trade, shares rose 7%. Google stock is signaling it'll clear 1634.22 just above its October 23rd peak, offering a buying opportunity. Whether or not investors should buy Google stock in the current market is another issue. Amazon earnings and sales easily beat, but the e-commerce giant gave mixed guidance for the holiday. Quarter 4, Amazon stock fell 1% overnight. Yeah, I'm willing to bet that's going to come back up because we're going into Christmas. Facebook easily beat views too. I am selling your data, so don't worry about me. I will go to Capitol Hill and testify, and that is how I will get my money. Invest in me, please. Yeah, we don't need to look at that one. Let's look at the futures. Dow futures fell 0.7% versus fair value. S&P 500 futures sank 0.7%. NASDAQ 100 futures retreated 1.1%. These are all off their worst levels. Apple stock is a Dow Jones, S&P 500, and NASDAQ component, while FANG giants, Amazon, Facebook, and Google, are S&P 500 and NASDAQ giants. With such big earnings reports, Dow futures could quickly shift if sentiment shift on, say, Facebook stock as the opening bell nears. Remember, as I just said, overnight action in Dow futures and elsewhere doesn't necessarily translate into actual trading in the next regular stock market session. Just want to make sure to remind you guys here, I have written down the names of everybody who chatted, along with my notes for Super Mario RPG from last night up here, but the names of everybody who chatted throughout the week here. And remember, I will be reading the names up here and what's on my chat screen over here today to thank you guys for coming and watching. So if you're lurking today, make sure you get a chat message in. Let's move on and see what CNBC has to say. 5 things to know before the stock market opens on Friday, from Matthew J. Belvedere. Number 1, stock futures struggle after Dow breaks its 4-day losing streak. Yeah, nobody knows what's happening, and the election's coming up, so nobody has any idea what's going on, and we may wake up in a fascist dictatorship to be coming on Wednesday. We don't know. A lot of people say Trump landslide, a lot of people say Biden landslide. A lot of people say 280 to 260. Shapiro saying 269 to 269. We don't know. But it is going to affect the markets no matter what, especially coming through today and into Monday. Number 2, big tech saw losers and one winner after the earnings. Shares of Apple, Amazon, and Facebook were lower on the pre-market after they reported quarterly results late Thursday. Yeah, we just read about this. COVID cases hit single-day, 7-day average records. We're right before an election that they're trying to unseat an incumbent that they see as unpopular. That was to be expected. Trump, Biden make last-minute election pushes, including both of them being in Tampa at the same day. We're going to talk about that one here later on in the program. And number 5, Walmart pulls guns and ammo off sales floor due to civil unrest in some area. Yeah, if you're buying a gun in Walmart, what are you thinking? I mean, okay, I understand. You're going there for everything else off of that, but go to your local gunsmith, dude. The dude's just trying to feed his family and his 3 kids and his girlfriend. Go see that dude. Walmart's got plenty of money. And they won't sell you 556 anyway, so Screw those guys, or 223, whichever you want, whichever you prefer, whether it's NATO or in inches. They don't sell it. Stop buying guns at Walmart. They suck. I don't even shop at Walmart anymore. After the ammo thing, I said, fuck that. You're going to stand up on your soapbox and grandstand? You don't need my money. And once again, I've never bought ammo or guns at Walmart. Ever. So it's not like they were doing something directly to piss me off with that. It was just the fact that if they'd pulled it silently and said, sorry, we can't sell this anymore to a customer that comes up, I'd be like, okay. But they had to make a news and a press conference about it, and I said, no, I'm not coming here for a political lesson. I'm coming here for body wash and candles. So that's what we have going on with that. All right, next one here. Going right into electioneering. Starting in what's going to happen on the votes. Dems win again. SCOTUS allows North Carolina to count mail-in ballots 9 days after the election. So, with that in mind, North Carolina is going to Democrats. Trump won here by 3 million votes? Shit, we got to find 6 million mail-in ballots. This is from Tim Pierce. The Supreme Court on Wednesday allowed North Carolina to count mail-in ballots up to 9 days after the election as long as the ballots are postmarked by Election Day. The ruling is a win for Democrats in a key state ahead of the election and a loss for North Carolina Republican lawmakers and the Trump campaign, both of which filed challenges to a lower court ruling that set the 9-day deadline, according to CNN. So, the North Carolina Republican lawmakers, if they want to come up and challenge us, I'm actually okay with this. Trump, keep your fucking hands out of the election. Article 2, Section 1. Do not. Because you don't have the authority to do so or the ability. You have a vested interest in this, in the outcome of this election. Do not get yourself involved in this. Let your colleagues in the North Carolina GOP deal with it. The state's Democratic Attorney General Josh Stein issued a statement cheering the court's rulings. North Carolina voters had a huge win tonight at the U.S. Supreme Court. The court upheld the State Board of Elections' efforts to ensure that every eligible vote counts. Even during a pandemic, voters must have their ballots postmarked by Election Day. But now we all have certainty that every eligible vote will be counted. Let's vote. Justice Amy Coney Barrett, who was sworn into office on Monday, did not take part in the decision because she did not have enough time to review the case. The court said, notably, Barrett did not recuse herself from the decision, so she can still make the ruling on the case at some point in the future. In both challenges to the lower court ruling that ballots can be counted up to 9 days past Election Day, Justices Samuel Alito, Neil Gorsuch, and Clarence Thomas dissented from previous decision. At least 5 votes are needed for the Supreme Court to overturn it. So they came down onto a 4-4 split. Barrett came out of this. But remember, Barrett is evil, and she's just going to come in and rule the way that Trump wants her to without reviewing anything. She said, as she recused herself from the case because she didn't have enough time to review the documents, because she just sat down in her seat. A similar case appeared before the Supreme Court last week, this time over a state Supreme Court ruling from Pennsylvania that also favored Democrats. The Pennsylvania Supreme Court has allowed mail-in ballots to be counted up to 3 days after Election Day, another significant ruling in a swing state that threatens to hamper a speedy resolution to the presidential election. The Supreme Court split 4-4 on the Pennsylvania decision, leaving in place the lower court ruling. Barrett is now the missing vote, which she may supply later. I wonder how that would work, because I'm sure that as soon as the Election Commission, especially if they want a certain outcome, as soon as they get their hands on those ballots that come in late. Now, a logical person, knowing the fact that these ballots do need to be in by a certain date, will take the ones that come in after the certain date and put them in a separate box to make sure that if the Supreme Court comes down and rules and says you can't count these because that would be against election law of some form or another, then they could easily be separated from the general population and we would have them counted right away. But I've got this feeling that they're just going to be mixed in with the general population of ballots as soon as possible to make sure that they can't change the ruling. So that's going to be what we see off of this. And like I said, I'm pretty sure that all we're going to see now is, oh, well, Trump is winning North Carolina by 7 million votes. Come on, let's find 10 million. We can't let the orange man win. But we'll see what happens off of this. This will be one to watch on Tuesday night, which, by the way, I will be live streaming. So come and join in with the festivities there. From the Hill, Trump campaign postpones North Carolina rally, citing weather, from Brett Samuels. So, with the Supreme Court ruling, there is reason to believe that we possibly have seen Trump say, well, I'm not going to win it. Why pour resources into it because they're going to count until they win the state. So, I'm not going to go there. But let's see what the Hill has to say. The Trump campaign postponed a rally scheduled to take place in North Carolina on Thursday evening, citing weather conditions. Because of a wind advisory issued with gusts reaching 50 miles an hour and other weather conditions, the outdoor Fayetteville, North Carolina rally has been postponed until Monday, Trump campaign communications director Tim Murtaugh said in a statement. The president was slated to rally supporters in Fayetteville, but the area was under a wind advisory, and other parts of the state were under a tropical storm warning, according to local reports, as the remnants of Hurricane Zeta made its way up the coast. Yep, we'll be talking about that too as we go along. The Fayetteville rally would have been Trump's third appearance in North Carolina in recent weeks, highlighting the importance of the state to his re-election prospects. Excuse me. Trump won North Carolina and its 15 electoral votes by 3 percentage points in 2016, but polls heading into next week show him narrowly trailing Democratic nominee Joe Biden in the state. Well, every poll says Trump is down like 75 points. Biden's going to win in a 50-state landslide. Everybody hates Trump. Remember that, because that's what they've been trying to shove down your throat for the last 6 weeks. Let's keep going. From the Daily Wire, Warren wants a major economic policy role with a potential Biden administration. Report from Eric Quintanar.
Well, don't you know that, oh, I'm sorry, do you want a beer, husband? That I could be the best person to tell people what to do with their own money, so I will take all of it and then give them back what they need.
Should Democratic nominee Joe Biden win the presidential election next week, Senator Elizabeth Warren wants to play a major role in the U.S. economy in a potential Biden administration, a new report suggests. Politico, citing 3 Democratic officials who have spoken with Warren's inner circle, reports that the Massachusetts senator and third-place Democratic presidential candidate has her eyes set on a role of Treasury Secretary. Oh, God. Oh, God help us. And plans to advocate for herself starting next week. Hey, nothing like self-promo. Should the Democrats take control of the White House? She wants it, 2 of the officials told the news agency of Warren's ambitions. As Politico notes, the Treasury Secretary in the next presidential administration, whether it be Trump's or Biden's, will be tasked with steering the U.S. economy out of a deep recession. It's not that deep. It's bad, but it's not a deep recession. A deep recession was what we had in 2009, under Joe Biden's vice presidency and Barack Obama's presidency. Even as the country continues to struggle with the coronavirus pandemic, on Thursday, the Bureau of Economic Analysis announced that GDP went up 33.1% for the third quarter, making it the best quarter in U.S. history, after the country experienced the worst quarter in U.S. history. So, on Thursday, that was yesterday, the Bureau of Economic Analysis says that we went back right to where we were before the pandemic hit. Actually, I think it's just slightly lower, which is incredible, given the fact that certain states have done everything they can to keep their economies down. But I think what did we lose? Like 38% in the coronavirus pandemic? And then we're back up 33.1%? That's incredible. Those are numbers. Those are good numbers. But no, we're not in a deep recession if we lost 5 points. That's not the thing. That's not a thing. Under President Trump, Steve Mnuchin was taken on a prominent role in the coronavirus economic response, serving as negotiator for the administration's relief proposals alongside White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows. Both Mnuchin and the House of Representatives Speaker Nancy Pelosi have been engaged in on and off and thus far unsuccessful coronavirus package talks since the summer. But with no coronavirus relief package expected ahead of the election, and it's 4 days, it's not going to happen, and the probability of a package passing under election uncertain, Warren could end up taking on a similar role as Mnuchin if Biden ultimately wins the presidential election. Oh, God. Guys, it's time to start buying Birch Gold because Elizabeth Warren's going to be the Treasury Secretary and you need your Birch Gold and I need you to buy Birch Gold because I need them to pay me for you buying Birch Gold. So make sure that you go over and buy Birch Gold, birchgold.com/Shapiro, and make sure that they know that I sent you because I need to have that sweet, sweet Birch Gold money, you guys. And I'm going to say Birch Gold one more time. They're our first sponsor, Birch Gold, Birch Gold, Birch Gold. That's actually not a bad idea at this point if Warren becomes the Treasury Secretary. That would not be a bad idea at all. Well, I need to get more people getting government assistance because then they'll vote the right way to make sure that they're taken care of by government assistance. The only way that we get their vote is by telling them we'll give them more government assistance. A spokesperson for Warren provided the news agency with the following comment. It's 5 days out. We're focused on the election and encourage everyone else to be as well. That's almost as bad as I will be the Treasury Secretary and I will use the Treasury of the United States to buy all of the pudding cups in the world and make sure that I always have pudding cups. Pudding cups are God's gift to old men. So there's something that'll hopefully drive your vote out to keep that woman as far away from economic policy as possible. All right, I've got one here archived from USA Today. Rappers are with Republicans. Lil Wayne's meeting with Donald Trump causes confusion on social media. So Lil Wayne went and met with the Donald. Lil Wayne Wheezy F just had a great meeting with real Donald Trump at POTUS. Besides what he's done so far with criminal reform, the Platinum Plan is going to give the community real ownership. He listened to what we had to say today and assured he will and can get it done. Excuse me. Rapper Lil Wayne on Thursday generated social media buzz by announcing he had met with President Trump and supported Trump's Platinum Plan to assist Black Americans. And we already read the tweet, so I'm not going to read it again. Reaction has been varied, with some critics mocking the rapper, tweeting, "Not Wayne." Among the critics, rapper Curtis 50 Cent Jackson, who tweeted, "I would never have took this picture." Meanwhile, some conservatives spun Lil Wayne's support as another example of black entertainers stepping away from Democrats, a key part of Trump's re-election message. Some confusingly cited 50 Cent as pro-Trump. Example, Lil Wayne, following in the footsteps of Kanye and 50 Cent, just endorsed President Trump, tweeted conservative political commentator Michael Knowles. Rappers are now Republicans. What a time to be alive. The same list of entertainers cited by conservatives J.T. Lewis as he exclaimed, "Rappers are Republicans." And honestly, here is something you do need to realize coming out of this. And this is something I've been pointing out consistently throughout the Trump presidency, in between me taking jabs at him signing the Patriot Act and spending money like a fucking madman. All of these rappers out there, Snoop, 50, Lil Wayne, they were all rapping about wanting to be like Trump in their songs up until he came down the escalator. And he has done amazing things for the black community. The First Step Act, as a resolution to the 1994 crime bill to get some of these guys back out of prison so they can go out and try to rebuild their lives. It just makes sense at this point. I mean, they're coming out here. The left in this country is coming out and saying, you have to do as we say, which sounds like a very, very slave-like mentality. And these guys are coming out and saying, no, man, we want to keep our money and we want to get more people more money because the more black people in the hood, for lack of a better term, have money, the more of them are going to buy our albums and make us richer. It is a cycle off of this. So get these people up where they can stand on their own 2 feet and have expendable money to spend in the iTunes store or however they buy music. Is better for everybody in the process. And I'm sure that Chelsea Handler was ready to let Lil Wayne come and take a ride too if he changed his vote. All right, let's keep going off of this here. This is a good thing. This is definitely something you want to see because you're reaching across the aisle. And yes, of course, he's not reaching to somebody who represents the current black community because he's not in the hood. He's a rich man now. But honestly, if I'm not mistaken, didn't Lil Wayne come from like nothing too? Didn't he rise up through the ranks and become a self-made man? I don't know anything about this guy. I never listened to his music. I never, read his bio or anything off of this. I just know that he's got a bunch of tattoos. He showed up somewhere in 2007. A lot of people like him. I couldn't even tell you what a Lil Wayne song is, to be completely honest. But I know a lot of people like him, and I think he's got the best interest of the black community at heart, too. All right, let's keep going here. Speaking of rappers, Ice Cube says he refused a group online call with Kamala Harris because it wouldn't be productive and just a rally call. From Carlos Garcia, iconic rap artist Ice Cube said he refused to be a part of a celebrity Zoom call with Senator Kamala Harris, the Democratic vice presidential candidate, because he didn't think it would be productive and it would just be a rally call. The rapper, whose real name is O'Shea Jackson, made the comment while a guest on Fox Soul's Cocktails with Queens. Host Claudia Jordan asked him about a report that he'd been invited to on the call with Harris and other black celebrities, including Snoop Dogg, Killer Mike, and D.L. Hughley. I don't know who Killer Mike is either. Kamala Harris's folks reached out to you and wanted you to be on this Zoom call because they thought your voice was important. Why did you choose not to participate in that? Asked Jordan. We had spent a lot of people's time putting the contract with Black America together, Jackson replied, and I just thought that getting on a Zoom call with 12 other entertainers, all shooting what they believe needs to be done, to me wasn't going to be productive. He went on to say that he wanted to have a serious conversation and not just a rally call. Jackson had been excoriated by many of his fans after Katrina Pearson of the Trump 2020 campaign thanked him publicly for assisting the campaign with their plan to help the black community. Social media erupted with angry accusations that Jackson had betrayed the black community and that the Trump campaign had tricked him. Plantation mentality. No matter how much money he's got, no matter how much mainstream respect the guy's got, plantation mentality. It's sickening. It really is. These people can do and vote how they want in order to make their communities better. And yet we have these especially rich white trust fund kids and Chelsea Handler coming out and saying, no, you have to vote this way because of the color of your skin. It's disgusting. All right, let's keep going off of this one here. Now this on Twitter. Reminder, most Americans got smaller tax refunds in 2019 thanks to Trump. Yes, in the wake of an election, they're going to trot this bullshit out again. Never mind the fact that as soon as Trump's tax returns came out and he only paid $750 in taxes, which was a straight up lie, by the way, because he prepaid a bunch of taxes and that's all that he owed afterwards. That was a flat out lie. People started to look and see what they actually pay in taxes. So the worst thing for now this would be to go have these people go back and see what they paid in the years past in taxes under Obama and then under Trump. But they're going to trot this out here Let's listen to what the video has to say, and I'll narrate it too if there's no narration with it. Most Americans got smaller tax refunds thanks to
My
Trump.
refund was about half of what it normally is.
We were really banking on the refund. I called my husband immediately, crying.
Tax refunds this year are down $7.6 billion compared to
So I went back
2018.
in and I checked everything, and then I started to cry.
This year, I just don't have a refund.
Trump supporter Karen Spiziel Matheny was counting on a refund to cover her medical bills related to her failing kidney.
My refund was about half of what it normally is. It used to be like $4,000, and then I got $2,000 this year.
This is the first tax season since Trump's tax plan went into effect. Most people paid less in taxes last year and got slightly higher paychecks. But for many, that isn't the same as a large refund check. So, first and foremost, there is a line where you can have additional withheld out of your checks to go to the government so you get a bigger refund up at the end of the year. Why in God's name you would give an interest-free loan to the government is beyond me. But there is the option. Go to your HR director, go down to that line and say, okay, I want to take an additional, I don't know, $200 out of every check and give it to the government. My cousin did that until I talked him out of it. Well, I want to make sure that I don't have to pay in at the end of the year. Dude, paying in is the best thing you can do because it means the government has to come after you for money that's illegitimate. You're not just giving them an interest-free loan.
This year, instead of getting back the $5,000 Wright was expecting and that she and her husband got last year, the Houston mom found they actually owed the government money. With the birth of new daughter Olivia just 3 weeks ago, Wright says her family was counting on a tax refund to cover the cost of her unpaid maternity leave.
We were really banking on the refund because we live paycheck to paycheck. We can't, in a sense, save as of right now.
With 3 kids in college.
The U.S. government is not a savings account. The U.S. government is not a savings account. I'll tell you one more time if you really need me to. The U.S. government is not a savings account. If you really want that extra, yes, I know, okay, you're living paycheck to paycheck. And now this did bury a little bit of truth in the beginning of this video. Well, most Americans' paychecks went up because of the lack of taxes taken out. So take that extra money and put it in a savings account. You know why? Because if you put it in a savings account, you'll get interest on it. Instead of giving it to the government and giving them an interest-free loan for the year.
The Edney family is now scrambling. Last year, they got a $10,000 refund, but because of high property taxes, this year, they owe $10,000.
I don't think any.
Yeah. If you owe $10,000 because of property taxes, you probably can't afford to live where you live. Or you need to vote in a different tax assessor. Because if you've had that much shift from one year to the next on your property taxes, something fishy is going on there. I don't buy that one for a second.
Anybody would have been able to do the tax cuts like I did. We got the greatest tax cuts ever.
We got the greatest. Retail sales were significantly lower in the first quarter. Analysts say lower tax refunds are to blame for the spending drop. Last year, the median family's refund was more than 3 weeks'
Isadora
pay.
Bielski says last year her family of four's tax refund topped $3,600. But this time around, when she did their taxes,
I plugged it all in, and at first I thought, oh my goodness, we're getting $8,000 back. And then I realized it was the wrong color. So I went back in and I checked everything, and then I started to cry.
I believe that he isn't showing his income tax returns because he didn't pay anything, and we are paying in money, and he's paying nothing when he's making billions or whatever he's at.
False.
So maybe he just doesn't understand.
False.
We had no idea that this was coming, and I feel terrible for families that are going to have the same shock that we had that refund check we thought was coming will not be.
Roughly 70% of the GOP tax cut benefits go to the wealthiest 20%. The top 1% alone receives 34% of total benefits. Meanwhile, the tax cuts help drive up the federal budget deficit, which jumped 17% to $779 billion in the year after the tax cuts were passed. And yeah, I'll give that to Now This, because I said this in my solo video when I endorsed Trump. I said that. Stop spending the fucking money. Stop. Stop it. You don't produce anything. You don't have money to spend. Stop spending. 100% stop spending. But yeah, no, there's so much problem with this. Yes, your taxes went up. Your taxes went down, rather. Your taxes did not go up. My paycheck went up $50 a week when the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act went into place. $50 a week. And yes, I wound up owing in at the end of this year, which is fine. The government didn't get their interest-free loan from me. And then, of course, they want to come out and make another stimulus bill. That's another rant for another day. But yes, no. Don't rely on the government to be your savings account. Do not. The best thing you can do at the end of the year is to pay in. Alright, that's what I have off this one here. Let's keep going. Turn your ears off because I think I've got another Hill one over here that might autoplay, so we'll turn that off for now and get back into this. From Fox News, Biden and Trump hold dueling rallies in battleground Minnesota on Friday. So they're coming up here to try and make their last pitch for Minnesota. Who'd have ever thought that Minnesota would be in play? I mean, in 1984, the year I was born, that was the only state that Walter Mondale carried that has been so reliably blue for so long. And it is mostly the Union vote because Minnesota is a big-time Union state. Who would ever thought that Minnesota would ever be in play? Ever. My God, I guess I wouldn't have expected Michigan to be in play either, but I mean, I would say Colorado before Minnesota, but it's in play. And Colorado being because the government wants to the Democrat Party wants to jack taxes up, and the Colorado people aren't real thrilled about that. I would expect Colorado to be in play before Minnesota ever would be, but apparently it's in play right now. This is from Paul Steinhauser. Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden and President Trump cross paths for the second straight day in a crucial battleground state. On Thursday, they faced off in Florida Friday, with just 4 days to go until the general election on November 3rd. The showdown takes place in Minnesota, which suggests that a state long carried by Democrats in presidential elections may be in play. President Richard Nixon was the last Republican to win the state during his 1972 landslide re-election. Nixon was the last one to hold this. But 4 years ago, Trump narrowly lost Minnesota and its 10 electoral votes to 2016 Democratic nominee Hillary Clinton. And for over a year, the president and his re-election campaign have been eyeing the state in hopes of breaking the losing streak and flipping it from blue to red. An average of the latest public opinion polls in the state indicate the former vice president with a mid-single-digit average over Trump, but the surveys suggest that Trump gained ground over the past month. Biden's strength is concentrated in the Twin Cities, where some people did some things, and the surrounding suburban counties. Good luck with that, especially after they saw everything that happened with BLM in the Twin Cities. While Trump polls are the best in the more rural areas across the rest of the state, which is known as Greater Minnesota. And trust me, I've been in the Twin Cities before, and the rural areas are Greater Minnesota. The president's event, which has been planned for a few days, is being held at 5 p.m. local time at the airport in the southeastern city of Rochester. Although the location of the event was moved twice due to the state's coronavirus restrictions. Oh yeah, they're fucking crying about that. Oh, Trump's gonna come here to Rochester. Oh no. Well, we're gonna slap him with restrictions. I've been seeing that all over Twitter yesterday. And I grew up not far from Rochester, so I'm familiar with the area too. And the event will be dramatically smaller than the president's typical rallies because they keep slapping him with fucking restrictions. Where supporters are packed together without social distancing. Oh my god, they're assessing their own level of risk. Oh, the fucking humanity. How can they assess their own level of risk? And there's limited wearing of masks. Taking aim at the state's Democratic governor and attorney general, the Trump campaign said Thursday night that thanks to the free speech stifling of dictates of Governor Tim Walz and Attorney General Keith Ellison, only the first 250 people will be admitted. On Thursday afternoon, the Biden campaign announced that the former vice president would hold a socially distanced drive-in car. Jesus fucking Christ. A car rally again. Which, I mean, is good because the campaign can come out and go rent a bunch of Enterprise cars and park them up in the parking lot and make it look like it's a packed rally. Oh, the stupidity that goes along with this. They're doing everything they can to pull out the stops to try and make it look like Biden is a 50-state landslide. And once again, why would you do a drive-in rally where the Secret Service has to go back and check every car and there are plenty of places to hide shit? That is the worst idea in the world. In the capital city of St. Paul at 3:30 p.m. local time, just 90 minutes before the start of Trump's event. We're getting presidential visits just 4 days out. That means we're in play, Minnesota-based GOP strategist Amy Koch told Fox News. Koch, the first and only woman elected as the state Senate Majority Leader in Minnesota, emphasized that Democrats always take Minnesota for granted. No one can ever believe that Minnesota's in play, but that was a mistake that Hillary's camp made in 2016, and it nearly cost them. Biden's camp seems at least to be heeding that, but they always seem to be playing catch-up. But Democratic strategist Mike Erlandson said that the trips Friday by the two National Party standard bearers tells me that the Trump campaign is a little bit desperate and that Biden is feeling good enough that he can come to a state that looks to be pretty blue at the moment. Yeah, desperate. That's the word I'm going to use for it. The former state Democratic Party chair told Fox News that it's close, but that all the early voting indicates that it's going to very well in Minnesota for Biden. Erlandson said that Biden adding his trip at the last minute after Trump's stop was already plan suggests that Biden may be attempting to undo whatever the president is trying to do. So, yep, they're both going to be up in Minnesota today. 90 minutes apart. They're not going to be running at the same time like they did last time, but 90 minutes apart. Maybe they should run at the same time just to see who goes to what. Now, there's about an hour's difference between where Biden's going to be and where Trump is going to be. Almost exactly an hour's drive difference between the two, but still. Have them at the same time. Let's see what happens with that. And let's see who comes out on top. All right, from The Blaze. Source: Hunter Biden's gun was taken by Hallie Biden in 2018, thrown into a supermarket garbage can, went missing, and no arrests were made. From Dave Urbanski, a source with knowledge of the situation has revealed The Blaze that in October of 2018, Hunter Biden's handgun was taken from his vehicle without his knowledge by Hallie Biden, the widow of Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden's son, Beau, and she placed it in a garbage can outside of a Delaware supermarket. But after a subsequent search, the gun couldn't be found, the source said, and after law enforcement was contacted and both Hunter Biden and Hallie Biden were questioned, the source said no arrests were made and no charges were filed. Delaware State Police Thursday told The Blaze that the case was referred for a decision on prosecution to the Delaware Department of Justice, which means it's not going anywhere, which has not yet returned the Blaze's request for comment on the case. In addition, the source said the agents from the U.S. Secret Service, as well as the ATF, visited the shop where Hunter Biden purchased the gun prior to reports being filed. In 2018, Hallie and Hunter were in a relationship and had gone public with it a year before. They ended their relationship in 2019. On the date of the incident in question, October 23, 2018, the source with knowledge told The Blaze that Hallie Biden searched through Hunter Biden's vehicle, found a handgun, removed it, and then later threw it in a garbage can outside the supermarket. The source added that later, Hallie Biden contacted Hunter Biden, told him what she did, and that Hunter Biden told her to go back and get the gun, but upon attempting that, she couldn't find the gun. Yeah, that's in some store clerk's pocket at this point. When Hunter Biden arrived at the supermarket, the source with knowledge said he told law enforcement that the gun was purchased earlier in October, and he used it for target practice, and that he kept it in his vehicle instead of Hallie Biden's house so that it was not near her children. Neither Hallie nor Hunter were forthcoming on why Hallie Biden would take the gun and throw it in the supermarket trash can, and the source with knowledge said. The source added to The Blaze that when Hunter Biden was asked by law enforcement if he had contacted anyone, if that meant his father Joe Biden, and then said, "I've never called my dad for anything," that lie once again. And that he has always handled his own affairs. God, these people are dumb. For smart people that seem to run this country, these people are dumb. D-U-M, dumb. First off, I don't buy that this ever happened. Second off, this is either, like I said, in the pocket of some supermarket clerk who's taking it home right now, holding it illegally, and hope to God that this doesn't come into some sort of the commission of a crime, because that would be tragic for the victims of it. It would be poetic justice that they would take Hunter Biden down for a gun offense for his gun being used in the commission of a crime that he had no involvement in. But still tragic for the fact that somebody would either have to be hurt, die, or be scared by a gun and lose property over a gun. Because Hallie Biden was completely irresponsible from this. Or the clerk took this over to the police, who turned it over to the FBI after realizing whose gun it was by the serial numbers, and the FBI said, "Nothing to see here," and I can't whistle still, but yeah. This is happening. This is happening. Alright, next one here comes from Axios. Now, Jopper9 put an article into my chat last night while I was video gaming, pointing out that Christopher Wray is somehow in cahoots with Joe and Hunter and making money off the two of them. I've not been able to find anything Green Check verified, which, of course, Green Check isn't going to go into anything else like that. I've not found anything Green Check verified to go along with that. But that did lead me down to a couple of other suspicious things going on, including the fact that people are begging both administrations to keep Christopher Wray on. Let's see what Axios has to say. FBI Agents Association don't fire FBI Director Christopher Wray from Shauna Chen. FBI Director Christopher Wray should remain in charge of the Bureau, members of the FBI Agents Association wrote to President Trump and Joe Biden on Wednesday. If reelected, the president plans to immediately oust Wray. Trump has been vexed with his second FBI director and would have already fired him if he didn't have to deal with the complications of acting before November 3rd, one official previously told Axios. Letters to Trump and Biden from the FBIAA, which represents more than 14,000 active and retired special agents, emphasized the importance of insulating the Bureau from politics. Whoever wins the election should allow Wray to finish his 10-year term for the stability, credibility, and integrity of the Bureau, the letter said. The FBI is facing a daunting threat environment. FBI President Brian O'Hare wrote in the letter, including domestic and foreign terrorism, espionage, cyber attacks, and traditional crimes. Removing the FBI director directly after the election would raise national security issues, according to O'Hare. Politics should not determine his fate as director. While the president can remove an FBI director, doing so could lead to instability and damage to the Bureau's operations, which is why Congress intended to insulate the position of director from political whims. Active duty special agents, more than 90% of whom are represented by the FBI respect Director Wray's leadership, O'Hare added. FBI is the only voice for special agents. And honestly, if there's something going on, the fact that they're coming out and begging for him to stay means that they know something too, especially if the article that Job9 put out to me is true. Now, I don't know, once again, if that's true or not, because there's no green check verification to it. But if it's true, and they're trying to cover up further, then there is something even bigger going on than just Hunter Biden's laptop at this point, which I've kind of said. The fact that the mainstreams are trying to cover it up, make sure that nobody talks about it coming up to the election, kind of tells me that it's more than just Joe that has his hand in the cookie jar for this. There's a lot of stuff going on here, and honestly, we can go all the way back to 2019 during the primaries and see where all of a sudden everybody just mysteriously dropped out of the race at once to solidify the lead behind Joe Biden away from Bernie Sanders. With all of this coming out right now, that raises a few alarm bells in my head too. Like, people know something, and they know that the president can't be investigated while he's the president for any of it. And he'll die in office, mysteriously, before he can get out of office and be investigated. There's something else going on here. There is no other reason to put a geriatric, Alzheimer's-ridden, 80-year-old man into the presidency unless they're trying to hide something. There is something else going on here. There is absolutely something else going on here. All right, from Business Insider. UPS says it found the lost cache of documents that Tucker Carlson claimed would damage Joe Biden's campaign. From Mia Jankowicz. UPS said it found a cache of documents that the Fox News host Tucker Carlson said went missing under mysterious circumstances. Carlson went on the air Wednesday night to announce the loss of the documents, which he said would be damning to Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden's campaign. He told viewers his team received the documents from a source recently, and that they were related to the Biden family. He did not give other details. Carlson did not name the courier on his on-air monologue about the disappearance. Yeah, I bet you it would have got to where it needed to go if he'd sent it with courier number 6. But UPS later confirmed to Business Insider that it was the company used. About midday on Thursday, Matthew O'Connor, UPS's senior public relations manager, told Business Insider that the documents had been found and were on their way back to Carlson. Okay, if this was so publicized, why didn't they just send it back to the original sender? It remains unclear what happened to them, as they were found on a floor, and the box made it to its destination with nothing in it, 5 days before an election that is highly contested and involves one of the people mentioned in the documents. Yeah, it's unclear what happened to him. Don't worry about it. He said, after an extensive search, we have found the contents of the package and are arranging for its return. UPS will always focus first on our customers and will never stop working to solve issues and make things right. We work hard to ensure every package is delivered, including essential goods, precious families' belongings, and critical health care. O'Connor declined to provide further details when asked. So, yeah, no, it's unclear what happened here. They just sort of showed up, didn't get to where they were supposed to be. The box was empty and had been cut open. No, nothing to see here. Don't worry about it. All right, and Tucker weighs in on this, of course. Tucker Carlson, how UPS explained the missing Biden family documents, and a word about Hunter. This is an opinion piece, but I want to read just briefly from it because it's Tucker. Wednesday night, we told you about a pretty weird experience we had this week. On Monday, one of our producers in New York overnighted a package to our executive producer, Justin Wells, and to me in Los Angeles. We were there preparing for an interview with former Biden family business partner Tony Bobulinski. Somewhere along the way, the contents of the package disappeared. Inside was a flash drive that contained primary documents pertaining to the Biden family. These documents did not come from Tony Bobulinski, and of course, we made a copy of these files before we sent them because we're careful. We get a lot of documents from a lot of different sources all the time, but especially in election years. Before we put them on the air, we have to determine first whether they're real, whether they're newsworthy, and whether it's legal to show them. We wanted to assess what we had, and we're still assessing it. But the point is, the package never arrived. Proprietary reporting documents sent between journalists by supposedly secure overnight mail disappeared. They vanished on the same day we were conducting a heavily publicized interview based in part on the documents from the Biden family. So, as you can imagine, we wanted to know what happened. Unfortunately, we still don't know what happened. Thursday morning, UPS issued a press release announcing they had found our flash drive and boasting about their customer service. So Tucker's pissed about this, and that gives you an idea what's there, and the fact that it had to be independently verified in New York before they sent it back to Los Angeles and tried to figure out what was going on. So definitely some stuff to watch over here. And there is something to see here. Let's keep going here. FBI criminal investigation into Hunter Biden and his associates remains active, reports. From Brett Dumas. A DOJ official has confirmed that the FBI criminal investigation into Hunter Biden remains active, all according to multiple reports. Sinclair's broadcasting group's James Rosen tweeted Thursday. Justice Department official confirms that in 2019, the FBI opened up a criminal investigation into Hunter Biden and his associates, focused on allegations of money laundering, and that it remains open and active today. Rosen also interviewed former Hunter Biden business partner Tony Bobulinski, who claims Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden was aware of and profited from foreign business deals involving his son, according to the report relayed through Sinclair's 190 television stations nationwide. Bobulinski said he was first introduced to former VP in May of 2017 by Hunter and Jim Biden in Beverly Hills. He claimed that they talked about the Biden family business plans with China, despite the Democratic nominee on several occasions denying that he had any involvement, including the final presidential debate when Biden said, "I've not taken a single penny from any foreign source ever in my life." So yeah, they're still looking into it. And I don't know what's going to happen with it. But I've got this feeling that there's a lot more reason that the left wing of this country wants to see Biden as the president right now than they think that he's going to govern better than Trump. All right, next one here, Philadelphia news, because we've got just a little bit of that. Philadelphia sees waves of ATM vehicle thefts amid riots, looting, reports. From Dom Colicchio. 2 suspects each faced 3 felony counts after low-grade explosives were found inside of a van in Philly on Wednesday night. The suspects, identified as Brian LaRue and Eric Murray, each faced charges of possession of weapons of mass destruction, conspiracy, and risking a catastrophe, as well as numerous minor charges, Pennsylvania AG Josh Shapiro said on Thursday. The explosives and tools discovered in the van were the type commonly used to try and dismantle ATMs in order to steal the cash inside. Fox 29 of Philadelphia reported. Police found the van after pursuing what authorities described as suspicious convoy of vehicles leaving a hotel parking lot. Officers spotted some of the vehicles trying to ram through a barricade at the parking lot of Target store, Fox 29 reported. Peaceful protests, folks. They're just holding signs and demonstrating. Nothing to see here. They're not being violent. They're not stealing stuff. They're not looting. They're just peacefully holding up signs. Let's keep going. From the Post. Hopefully we won't get taken down off Periscope for reading this out loud. Stunning video shows looters ransack Philadelphia boutique in minutes. from Henry Klein. Looters destroyed a Philadelphia business this week in a crazy scene captured by security cameras. The 53-second video shows dozens of looters cramming into L'Aventure Boutique, a small clothing store in North Philly, and ripping it apart on Tuesday around 4 a.m., according to Jamila Scurry, who co-owns the business with her brother Jamil. Their names are Jamil and Jamila. Okay. Two women first enter the store, the video shows, and begins tearing the shirts and handbags off the racks. "Bro, grab what you want," one woman is heard saying. All of a sudden, dozens more looters flood the store. The scene descends into chaos as looters race to grab what they can. One man pulls out a green sack and begins stuffing women's clothes into it, as another grabs as much as he can carry in his arms. "A terrible day for us," Scurry wrote in the caption of the video. "The day we had everything taken from us in less than a minute." In a phone interview with the Post, Scurry, a former crossing guard, recounted how she and her brother, a former police officer, left their jobs to build the store. "Scurry emptied my savings and checking account, maxed out her credit cards, and even sold her house to open the business," she said. "I can't even explain, just a whole lot of blood, sweat, and tears," she added. Scurry said the business was already reeling from the economic slowdown caused by the pandemic, not to mention a prior robbery that happened on August 27th. Yeah, they went in, and they went in like piranhas, stripping the body of the cow within minutes, getting whatever they want and getting it back out of there. But don't worry, it's just a peaceful protest. All they're doing is holding signs and protesting against police brutality. There's nothing else going on here. Absolutely nothing else going on here. Don't worry. Don't worry, don't think about it, and don't pay any more mind. From the Daily Wire, I have no idea why Vietnamese Baptist Church torched during the Philly protests. From John Brown. A Vietnamese Baptist church fell victim to the riots that have roiled Philadelphia since the death of Walter Wallace Jr. at the hands of police earlier this week. "I have no idea why they attacked our church," said Pastor Philip Pham of Vietnamese Baptist Church, according to the Baptist Press. "They burned it from the roof. They threw flammable chemicals on the roof, and flames burned through the roof, which also consumed the rest of the building." Pham characterized the damage as a total loss. Our utmost concern to the Pham when he received the call informing him that his church was in flames were 3 hard drives that contained 15 years worth of parishioners' irreplaceable information. "I prayed right away, God, please protect the hard drives," Pham said. "Other stuff can be recovered, but those files will never be recovered." Backups, dude. Pham said that he was amazed to discover that the hard drives escaped the conflagration. "I saw the routers and modems and things surrounding the hard drives all burned and melted," he recounted. "But that piece of hard drive, no harm at all, just 2 feet above all that had melted. That is amazing how God knows our needs and our answers and our prayers. He is an almighty God. He granted our prayer." Well, back that stuff up, dude. You got a second chance. Back it up. Pham said the church, which had been meeting online, is now looking for a new location to gather after the disruption of their building. He and the church leadership have reportedly been reaching out to local schools for possible locations from which to broadcast their live stream. "Remember us in your prayers in this time of need like this," Pham urged his fellow Southern Baptists. "The church members here need encouragement. The majority of us have very strong faith in Christ, but a minority, a few new believers, they need their faith to grow. Pray for the faith to take deep root in the love of God so they can be steadfast in Him. Not focus on the problem, but focus on Jesus. Please remember us in your prayers." And we do remember them in our prayers. And thank the Lord, that the hard drives were protected. But dude, back them up. All right, I got just a couple more here, and then we will read the names of everybody who chatted in the live chat, and I might even take a couple of questions out of the live chat here as we go. Let's grab one from The Blaze. Horowitz, man accused of killing 3 in a car accident minutes after bragging about drunk driving, has been granted asylum. from Daniel Horowitz. 3 dead Texans allegedly killed by a foreign national recently granted asylum should serve as the latest reminder that we have not fixed our border problems and that there is a lot to do in the coming second term of President Trump. Anyone who listened to the debate last Thursday night probably noticed the entire discussion on immigration was a zero-sum game of compassion for illegal aliens. How well would you treat illegal aliens? How much amnesty would you offer? What was never discussed were the thousands of forgotten Americans who have been killed by criminal aliens who should never have been in the country. On Wednesday, the New York Post posted a video of Camilo Morjon, 47, a Texas man, swigging a beer while driving outside Houston, Texas, as he boasted in Spanish about his ability to drive better while drinking. Just minutes later, according to the prosecutors, he crashed into a silver Honda, killing all 3 of its occupants. As tragic and avoidable as these deaths are, they were even more preventable because of a functioning immigration system. Morjon would never have been in the country. You see, Morjon is not an ordinary Texas man. According to a timeline of his immigration status obtained from DHS official by The Blaze, Camilo Morjon Ordaz was one of the many illegal aliens who entered our country during the wave of false asylum claims in 2018 to 2019 and was swiftly granted status without much verification. And there's a balance that goes along with this. Now, if you are seeking asylum and legitimate, then yes, absolutely, come back in, keep your nose clean. Because if you don't keep your nose clean, we should be sending you back out to face your political asylum. Or, not asylum, but your political accosters. That's not the word I'm looking for, but it gets us close enough to the mark. If you're going to be a guest in this country for political reasons, because you're facing persecution in your own country, then you should treat this country better than your home country and keep your nose clean. Keep yourself above water. Keep yourself above board. That is something you should be doing. And yes, there is a balancing act to that. I believe very strongly in legal immigration. But the people who just jump across the border, no, I absolutely have nothing but contempt for you people. People have been going on since the beginning of this country, coming in, reporting themselves to the government, and saying, I'm here. This is where I came from. This is the possible disease I might be carrying. This is what happened in my home country. For over 200 years. If you're going to come into this country, at least stop by and say, hey, I'm here. Okay, I'm here from Mexico. I want to stick around for a little while. That's all you got to do. And fill out a little bit of paperwork. Now, we hope that you'll like it so much here and you want to spend so much time here and spend your money here that you'll go through the process. That you'll come through, come to learn our customs and our ways, fill out the paperwork, and naturalize yourself if you're going to stay here for a while. But at least come by and say, hey, I'm here, all right? Yep, this is me. This is where I'm going to be staying for a little while. At least do that. And yes, if you are a guest in my country, keep your nose clean as long as you're here, at least. This is basic decency. Don't go out on the live feed and say, I can drive better when I'm drunk, and then slam into a Honda and kill 3 people. I am probably a little bit looser on immigration than Daniel Horowitz is, but still, as if you're going to be here and a guest, keep your nose clean while you're here. All right. This one came to me from Elaine, my co-host over on Twitter, and I'll tell you what she commented at it after I get done reading into this. But from Fox 59 out of Indianapolis, which makes sense. State police warn parents to look out for marijuana edibles in their kids' Halloween candy. They make medicated Skittles. I didn't even know that. Indiana State Police took to Facebook Monday to warn parents to watch out for marijuana edibles in their children's Halloween candy. Police said that some versions of edible marijuana are packaged and marketed to look like candy. In the post, state police feature photos of edibles seized this past weekend by a trooper from the Lowell Post with packaging that is almost identical to Starburst and Skittles candies. You have to look closely to see the medicated wording. Please thoroughly check all candy and don't just assume it's okay because it looks okay, wrote the ISP. And I will side right with Elaine on this one here. Do you have any fucking idea how expensive edibles are? Nobody is giving your kids edibles as Halloween candy after paying that much money for edibles. Are you out of your mind? And this is the thing too. I mean, Styx last year talked about the fact that the razor blades on the apples and to check everything off of this one here, and Harold the Happy Hippie giving drugs away to get their kids addicted on drugs so they come back and buy them a little bit more. Dude, I have been waiting 31 years from the day that I started going into the public school system and they started trying to feed this propaganda into me. I've been waiting 31 years to find drug-laced candy with anticipation. Because can you imagine how much fun that would be? And to get it for free on top of it. I've been waiting 31 years for this. And yet, all I get is Butterfingers, Skittles, and those little taffy things that come in the orange and black wax paper that nobody knows what the hell they're called. That's all that I get. Just once, I want to get an edible in a Halloween bag. Just once. Because I don't want to shell out the money for it. I'm, what's the word that you call that? Cheap. Alright, last one here, and then we will read the names of everybody who chatted throughout the live chat through the day. From CNN Weather, we're going to end the show talking about the weather. Zeta leaves over 2.1 million customers without power and at least 6 dead after battering the Gulf Coast. From Susanna Cullinane, Dakin Andone, and Joe Sutton. At least 6 people have died and more than 2.1 million customers are without power Thursday after the former Hurricane Zeta hit the Gulf Coast and rushed inland. Zeta, the 27th storm of the Atlantic hurricane season, made landfall in Louisiana as a Category 2 storm Wednesday before weakening to a post-tropical cyclone by Thursday afternoon. The storm was still packing winds of 50 miles an hour as of 5 p.m. Eastern Time Thursday as it approached the southern tip of New Jersey, but the storm was forecast to move out over the western Atlantic later Thursday night, according to the National Hurricane Center. Still, the Hurricane Center warned that strong gusts were still possible in parts of eastern North Carolina and southeastern Virginia throughout the evening. States in the mid-Atlantic could expect to see heavy rainfall Thursday evening, the Hurricane Center said, with the possibility of some flooding. So they came up through Louisiana, as usual, because that's where they come up through. And they're going out across the mid-Atlantic states, Alabama, Georgia, North Carolina. They missed South Carolina, but up through North Carolina. I'm sure it's weakened to this point here, and it'll probably pick up a little bit of steam as it comes back out through Delaware. I seriously have only ever met one person from Delaware, too, by the way. So there's damage, there's flooding. I'm a little surprised we haven't heard more about this either. But this is the third time that Louisiana's been hit? It's always been weak, but this is the third time that Louisiana's been hit this year. So, unfortunately, that's what happens when you live out on the Gulf Coast, because they get hurricanes. They've always had hurricanes throughout history. I mean, I've heard stories that nobody's lived... Before the white man came to the U.S., nobody lived in Florida because it got battered so hard by hurricanes all the time that they could never make a settlement. But our hearts go out to them. Hopefully they get their rebuild process going through. Hopefully this stays weak and the weather all turns for the better. And that is going to be it for the news for this week. We are going into election time now, but the last thing we have to do is say thank yous to everybody here who came in and chatted with us in the live chat. Starting with today, we will start up at the top of here and go on down. It looks I've been kind of watching over here too. It looks like we did have a couple of detractors, which is fine. If you disagree with me, you can come in the live chat and leave your comments. If they're sufficiently stupid enough, we'll read them on the air. I like it when people who don't like what I have to say come in and watch my show. It's a free view. And possibly they'll come in for Ed Talk and come and hang out too and ask their questions there, because that's audience time over on Ed Talk. But let's see what we've got here. Ron Helton's here with the sticker party to start off with. NBDU says he loves my flag. I actually want to get the Brotherhood of Steel flag to come up over on the other side here. I had to take the Red Sox flag down because it's not so much for the Red Sox, it's for MLB because of their bullshit with putting Joaquin from the Parkland shooting up as a cardboard cutout in their stands to try and raise awareness for gun violence. Dude, the kid is dead. Let him be dead. The breakdown with Birkenhoff popped in earlier on in the YouTube side. Says, yo to everyone here. Chilaga 1984, formerly Miami 1984, says, morning guys, how we doing? Seawall is in here. Half-track mod armed with the Banner Hammer 88. Yeah, Seawall's taking his Twitch responsibilities seriously after we had the loudmouth come in here on Wednesday and start running things over, which is awesome. Thanks very much for that. Because that was the only place I was unguarded. I've got plenty of guard in all the rest of the channels. It was just Twitch. I didn't really have much going on in. And I never get the trolls over on YouTube for whatever reason. I think Wojcicki is suppressing me just a little bit. Let's target practice with the 50 cal. Nice. Malukas 251086. Want to become famous? Buy followers, primes, and views on bigfollows.com. Yeah, that's a totally legit link. Let's go ahead and click that. Chilaga says people are economically illiterate. Yeah. And the one thing, too, I mean, the woman does file her own taxes and realize she did them wrong here. I would have taken that right over to an accountant. And like I said earlier, I read the tax code front to back every year. So I know what's supposed to be in my taxes, what the changes are and everything off this. But I still have a tax preparer do my taxes. Because she's bonded and I'm not. And if I get audited because one of us did something wrong, she's got the resources to get it taken care of. And I do not. Yeah, most of the paycheck to paycheck that way because they're bad at handling money. Yeah, a lot of, especially millennials, are really bad at handling money. Mohawk says, what an idiot, actually putting value into Tucker's opinion and hype. We, the left, don't want Biden. He's just better than Trump, dumbass. Well, I endorse Trump, so. And Biden is stuck up in a lot of corruption right now. But of course, the mainstreams in the party, I think a lot of them have their hands in the cookie jar too. But thanks for stopping by. Take the red pill, socialism kills. Yeah, good on razzing him. Chilaga, I was going to say the same thing. Too expensive to give away. Come to my door, I'll give you a candy bar. I think Ron wants to get me stoned. Did they live in Florida? I can't verify what I said. That's what I've heard, but I can't verify it. The Seminoles of Florida, the only foe that the U.S. military was unable to beat. They could not beat them on their own terrain, the swamps. Well, now the U.S. military is controlled by the swamp. But yeah, I mean, if the Seminoles got so used to having their land battered to death every single year by hurricanes, I could understand why the U.S. military couldn't beat them. Because they're good at building and rebuilding and hunkering down. So yeah, I could absolutely see that. Let's see what else we had throughout the week here. On Monday, we had Ron Helton, Spartan 0000 Superior 1. Oh, where is Spartan? I would have loved to have him hear me thank him for this. We also had Miami pre-name change, Miami 1984, Wyatt. Poops Knives popped in, and Mike Oxmal popped in. Over on Twitch, that was a new name. Thanks for coming in and hanging out with us. On Tuesday, we had Ron Helton. Jobber9 came in and hung out with us. Jobber9 came in last night and dropped us the article that we talked about Christopher Ray from. Wolf336, Quest Fanning over on the Periscope side came and hung out with us. Alexandru ____ came in and hung out. Thanks for coming and hanging out with us. And the R-Rated Conservative rounded out the Tuesday live viewers. On Wednesday, we had Miami 1984. That was the last day that he used the Miami moniker. Ron Helton. Oro L, our resident troll over on the D Live and Twitch, came in and ran his mouth and started throwing racial slurs over on the D-Live side, and our good moderator, Ron Helton, gave him a little bit of a timeout, and then he came back and started running his mouth over on the Twitch side, which, I mean, dude, at some point just let the dude talk. If he gets into overt racial slurs, give him a little bit of a timeout to get his attention, but absolutely let him just keep talking. They're entertaining when they come in like that. I don't care if these guys come in and they don't agree with me. I don't want the racial slurs in here because that gets, that's Susan bait is what that is. And Seawall 728 came and hung out with us after O'Reilly settled his ass down. And yesterday, we had the Snowmazard Tamer was a new name over on Twitch, and I like that name, so that was kind of cool. Chilaga 1984 Referral, who was a detractor as well, which, once again, I don't mind. Come in and detract from me. Call me out if you don't agree with me. And hopefully come in and hang out on Ed Talk because we'll take your questions. I don't care what your political ideology is. We will take your question. Yeah, Ron says I only muted him because he was talking about, well, I'm not going to say that because that's Susan bait. But yeah, I can see it in the live chat. And yeah, absolutely. If we're getting to that point, that's just baiting for either Twitch or Wojcicki to take me down, or even Periscope. Well, Periscope can't see the chat, I guess, over there, but that's just baiting to get taken down. So the racial slurs, absolutely. But if they're just going to come in and ask stupid questions that have really stupid answers, then I don't mind them coming in and doing that. But yeah, the racial stuff, absolutely, please, just shut them up off of that. And lastly, no, not lastly, because I got two more. We had Seawall 728 came in over on the Twitch side because he has been modded over there. And Unsatiable 1776 rounded out the live chat for the week here. So we will be back here tomorrow for Ed Talk, the last one before the election. And I want to get your election questions in. I want to see what policy prescriptions you want to see come out of whichever administration you voted for. I want to see what you think the election is going to be. I want to see your statistics. I want to see your links. I want to see it all. Don't try and post links over on Twitch and YouTube, though, because the robot will take you down. But I want to see it all. And I hope we get some of these lefties in here to come and hang out with us and talk a little bit about what they think is going to come off the election as well. We're going to have an election episode coming up on Ed Talk. I hope to see you there. Hope to hang out with you. Hope to see your thoughts, your prayers, your dreams, what you expect to come out of this, what you expect to come out of the government, or baseball, or trucks, or whatever the hell else you guys want to talk about. It's your time. But I expect, given the political climate, that we're going to be spending a lot of time talking about the election. Or we will be back here on Monday for more contemporary to get that final push for people to get out the vote on that last election day, Monday night for the Red Ned Show. And I'm going to be reaching out to a few people to see if I can find a guest host for the Red Ned Show. Because, of course, being on the Jorgensen campaign, Elaine is not going to be able to get in on the day before Election Day for obvious reasons, and we can respect that. And join us on Tuesday starting at 4 p.m. Central Time, going till midnight and possibly later, election night coverage as we watch the results start to pour in and see what the reactions are to the mainstream people. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm going to reach out to some people, see if we can get some calls in, see if we can get some people to come and hang out with us and talk a little bit about with us. We'll have an open Zoom link going throughout the day, so hopefully we'll get some statistics. We'll get to watch some reactions. I think it's going to be D-Live exclusive because I think I'm going to watch some mainstream news sources, which YouTube will shut us down for putting up. So that might be a D-Live and Twitch exclusive as well. I will know more details by the time Ed Talk comes up tomorrow, so I will promote it then. But keep in mind that we'd love to have you. We'd love to hang out with you for election night coverage. But we've gone on long enough here. We've talked a little bit about what goes on with that, and we'll be back here tomorrow and on Monday for more contemporary. Until then, I'm Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary.